Hello and welcome. Today we're working in managerial accounting on Chapter 14 or financial statement analysis. This is the activity ratios problems. We'll show how they work. And so let's get started. Hey, if you're new, my name is Jeff from Finally Learn. I teach a lot of accounting. I got a full playlist in managerial accounting. So let's check out the problem. Activity analysis involves the activity ratios, which I'm picking out 5. There are more than that, but here are 5 popular activity ratios. And so we want to do the receivables turnover. These two go together, receivables turnover and days sales outstanding. The inventory turnover and then days inventory outstanding. These two go together. And then we have the total asset turnover. So here's what we need. We need a partial balance sheet, just the assets section. So this is the assets section of the balance sheet. Let's call it that. And then we need the income statement. So we have basic assets and current assets, plan assets, and total assets for the year 2030 and for the previous year 2029. We also have the income statement. So we have the revenues minus cost of sales, gives us gross profit, and so on. Now, let's do the first two together. They go together. So receivables turnover is the idea, hey, how much receivables do we have versus how much sales do we have? So we're going to take our sales, or our net sales, our total revenue, however you want to say that, divided by our accounts receivable. So net sales is the top number on the income statement divided by our accounts receivable. Now, all ways how to measure this is we're taking a ratio, a fraction. So we say for every 1 on the bottom, how many do we have on the top? So remember, the top is called a numerator and the bottom is called a denominator. So this is essentially 7.3. Let's do 2 decimal places. 7.3 over 1. For every $1 of accounts receivable, we have $7.3 of net sales. Or what we really care about is how often do we make sales and then collect on account and then make more sales? We're doing this about 7.3 times a year. Well, let's compare it to the previous year. We're going to do the same. Since we have this right here, we can just copy it across. And so here we have $622,000, a little bit less in revenue, but our receivable is way, way less. So it's 52 versus 92. So we're more efficient in the first year than we are in the second year. We're collecting our average account about 11.8 times here versus 7.3. Higher is more efficient. We like this. Now, let's compare it the other way. Is we can take this and take a year, 365, divided by the receivables turnover. So 365 divided by that 7.3 says we collect about every 50 days. And let's see, about the year before, we collect about every 31 days. Would you like to collect your money on average in 31 days or in 50 days? Well, 31 days, obviously you'd like to have your money faster. So these two are better. The receivable turnover is higher, or the days sales outstanding is fewer days. Now, you see I've given you right here where it says days sales outstanding, DSO. A lot of times people call this same ratio the average collection period. So you can go to a meeting and they say, well, days sales outstanding is 31 days. And you say, okay, you don't know what that is. And you think, uh-oh, everyone knows except me, right? There is multiple ways to say the same thing. And you could absolutely know, hey, I know the average collection period. You might say, ooh, that's weird. The average collection period is about 31 days. And then you figure out, look into the formula, you're saying the same thing. So one of the things that happens is, don't be afraid to say, wait a minute, day sales outstanding, what's the formula? How'd you calculate that? And then you say, oh, I call that average collection period, and then you've communicated and you're better off. Okay, so be careful. There's sometimes the same formula has different names, and then sometimes the same names have different formulas. So you have to kind of be aware of that, and we'll kind of point that out in the future when we see that. Now, these two go together, inventory turnover and days inventory outstanding. It's going to be the same type of thing. It says how often do we turn our inventory over. Now the idea of inventory turns is we buy inventory and we sell it. And we sell it all out and buy it again. Now that's happening continuously through the year, so it's a little bit theoretical. It says, look, we would love to have more inventory turns because we don't buy inventory that we're going to sell for the whole year. We buy it, hopefully we can sell it in a month or in 45 days or 60 days, and we keep buying inventory because we keep selling out, and that is the turn, okay? So that's the inventory turnover. So we're going to take cost of goods sold. That's going to be on the income statement. Now, here it's called cost of sales, and I intentionally did this on purpose. Cost of goods sold could be called cost of goods, it could be cost of sales, cost of revenue. All that means the same thing. So we're going to take the 411 divided by our inventory. How much inventory do we have to stock? Well, 80,000. Well, we could have sold that inventory about 5 times during the year. Let's look at the previous year. Well, the previous year we have the cost of goods sold is 392, but we only need 54,000 of inventory rather than 80,000. So therefore, we're more efficient again in the previous year. So we would have inventory turnover is 7 is better, 7.25, 7 and a quarter is better than 5. So we like this one better, inventory turnover. Now let's convert it to the number of days, 365 divided by the 5. That means we sell our inventory about every 71, 72 days. What about if we did it 7 and a quarter times? Well, we sell our inventory about every 50 days. Now these are related a little bit. This one, if we can sell in 50 days and we collect in 30 days, that's helpful, right? How fast we get our money in, we really, really care about that. All right, so this is the way to do the receivables turnover and inventory turnover, and then convert it to the number of days. Now our last one is, sometimes it's called just asset turnover, or sometimes it's called total asset turnover, or TAT, TAT, or whatever. So here it's going to be net sales, the total revenue at the very top divided by our assets. The total revenue at the top divided by your total assets right here. Now, one of the things we're going to do is we see that what we have is we have net sales and assets. Now, you might see in your accounting class or your previous studies, they might average the assets, or they might average the inventory, or they might average the receivables. Well, I don't really recommend doing that, because let's look at that first one. The 7.3 and the 11.8, it's because we have accounts receivable of 92 and 52. Something's going on that changes. If we take this number and divide by the average accounts receivable, then we can only do one of these ratios. We do the average would be like 72, and so you're blending what might be a trend. You're blending it into kind of an average, so I wouldn't do that. So here on our total asset turnover, more is better. It says for every $1 of assets, we're generating how much of sales? Have you heard the phrase, it takes money to make money? Well, it takes money, assets, to generate sales, to generate revenue. So here, how effective, how efficient are we using assets to generate net sales? Well, every $1 of assets generates about $1.41. Well, what is it the year before? Well, $1.57. The previous year, once again, a little bit better than the current year. So this is how efficient we're using our assets to generate revenue. And then we're going to do profitability, where how efficient are we at generating profit. Now, another thing that happens is, this reminds me, activity analysis is sometimes called efficiency ratios, so these activity ratios or efficiency. And so you'll see those. We're trying to measure how often, things like turnover and number of days, so activity or efficiency, that's what we're trying to determine, and we can do that using these ratios. Hey, I have a full playlist of everything in managerial accounting. I'm working on that, so click on that playlist. I have a full playlist of problems in financial statement analysis. We're doing all the ratios. I have about 20 ratios we can do, and so you can see an example, step by step, how this works. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next video.